Oh, yes. Good evening. Welcome to Politics 101, our Tuesday night edition. The drums in the background, Buxton Fusion. Buxton Fusion, they'll be in attendance at Buxton on the 31st. That's the Emancipation Eve. Black is Beautiful. Black is Beautiful. Congress, Black is Beautiful concert. Black is Beautiful soiree, whatever you call it. It's going to be there at Buxton, July 31st. That's next week, Monday night. And Buxton Fusion will be there in attendance. The Buxton Pride Steel Band is going to be there in attendance. Yoruba singers will be there in attendance. And we have a host of local artists. So it is going to be the Buxton Soiree or Kongasa or Black is Beautiful concert. So wherever you are in Guyana, make your way to Buxton on July 31st. If you don't have anything going on in your village, come to Buxton on that night. There'll be lots of stuff going on in other parts of the country, but Buxton will hold its soiree. It's Black is Beautiful. Black is Beautiful concert. Kongasa. We're going to have the drums there, as I said. Yoruba singers is going to be there. Buxton Fusion. The Buxton Pride Steel Band is going to be there. We're going to have Kwekwe. We're going to have Nancy Story. We're going to have dancing. We're going to have Odessa Primus is going to be there. So it's a full complement at Buxton. And I know we've been asking you to contribute to our Emancipation donation fund there on Politics 101. We are donating to the Buxton event this year. Yes, it's going to be a full complement there at the Buxton Line Top, the place to be on July 31st. That's next week, Tuesday. Emancipation is in the air. Good evening to all of you. Please share the link and let everyone know that we're on. It's Emancipation Week, getting in to the Emancipation. We are, and on the 31st, Aubrey Norton is going to be there to give the keynote address. So in many regards, Norton is going to be addressing African Guyanese from Buxton on that night. So he's going to be speaking. I think I'm down to speak also, the local person, but the main address will be given by Aubrey Norton. We start at 6 o'clock with a libation ceremony at the Buxton Emancipation Monument. It was a monument that was erected by our foreparents, Buxtonians, in 1938. It was a monument that was erected to mark the 100th anniversary of emancipation. And it's still there in Buxton. It's at the marketplace. And we go there, we pour libation. There. We have a little ceremony beginning at 6 o'clock. I think I'm down to give what is called our New Year's address. And then we move from the monument to the line top, which is just a stone's throw away. So we start at 6 o'clock at the monument. We pay homage to the ancestors. We ring in the new year, and then we move to the line top for the merriment, the Kongasa, the soiree. And like I said, it's going to be big. Yoruba singers, Buxton Fusion, the Buxton Pride Steel Band is going to be there. Odessa Primus, Lassell Juke, the Calypsonian, Ras, Jerry Hope is going to be on, and Kofi Kwayana, I'm told, is going to be there. Kwayana's son, he's an artist. You see Kwayana's son, he's a Rastafarian reggae artist. He's coming in for the event. And some other artists, I will get the full lineup for you as we go through the week. But that's the place to be on July the 31st, as we ring in the Emancipation this year. I just confirmed this afternoon that I will be spending part of Emancipation Day. That's the next day. I'll spend some time in Buxton. I will pass through the folk festival in Georgetown at the folk festival, and I'll end the day in Belgium. I was there at Belgium last year, and they just called earlier today, so I will have to go to Belgium. So I started in Buxton, as I said, and then spend some time at the National Park, and then end the day in Belgium. West Coast Bobis, one of my favorite areas. Good evening to all the but you have to tell me whether it's Belgium people. Good evening to all you people from Belgium. I know lots of Belgium people are on Politics 101 in the evenings. I will be in Belgium on Emancipation Day. So I'm looking forward to meeting all you people, West Coast Babies, at Belgium. I'll be there on Emancipation Day itself. Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. Please share the link and let everyone know that we're on. What is the meaning of emancipation? What is the meaning of emancipation? Somebody's telling me Bella Drummers. Why, I should have known that. The Bella Drummers. Belladrum, El Dorado area. I used to go there a lot. As a teenager, young man, we had a Kwekwe group in Buxton called Tuta Shinda. And we would go up and down. I noticed a Saul. Gladwin is saying, is Belladrum Belladonian? He's saying Belladonian. Well, this is a Saul, and I know the Sauls are Belladrum people, Belladonian. So some is saying Belladrummers. Gladwin is saying Belladonian. I think I'm tempted to go with Gladwin. He's a Saul. Good evening, Mr. Saul. And good evening to all the Belladonians. I think I'm going to go with the Belladonians. Welcome to Politics 101. Let me say something to these PPP people who come on these shows and try to make a fool of themselves. And I usually ignore them. I notice one, Sunil Pandey, is here. I don't pay any mind to you guys because, you know, anyone who at the end of the day goes home to their children and say, you know, Daddy, what you did today. I was on Politics 101 interfering with Black people. What a thing to tell your children. And this is what the PPP is reducing Indian people to, you know, and some of them are proud to do it. Some of them don't know better. But, you know, to come on to a program to interfere with Black people and to make that your to make that your occupation, to make that your ambition, is quite a life to live. And I think you all should tell the PPP that you're all not doing it anymore. They call you all trolls. I call you all jackasses. Please, don't dishonor yourself and your children in that way. Good evening and welcome to Politics 101. So, what is the meaning of emancipation? Emancipation, of course, means that it means freedom. It has to mean freedom. It has to mean freedom because you're emancipating yourself. For us African Guyanese, emancipation must mean freedom. Because we're breaking the shackles of slavery, the shackles of unfreedom. And so emancipation ought to have meant freedom and ought to mean freedom. Freedom from oppression, freedom from poverty, freedom from bondage, freedom from want, freedom from degradation, and freedom to be free, to be full human beings under the law, to be full human beings under the law and before the law. Because even when we were enslaved, we were still human beings. We never lost our humanity. We were always a free people, free in spirit. May not have been free in body because we were in bondage, but we were free in spirit. So we never lost that freedom of the spirit. Emancipation in 1838 was as much for us and even more for those who had the temerity to hold us in bondage against our will. Emancipation was for them too. Because the end of slavery meant that we were not just freeing ourselves from the plantation, but we were freeing the slave master from his torment. Because only a tormented and a demented human being would want to shackle his fellow human beings. So emancipation for us was freedom from the shackles. Emancipation for the slave master was freedom from the torment of a demented mind. Because only a demented mind could conceive of shackling people because of their skin color. What do we mean by emancipation? We mean freedom. We were legally shackled. Therefore, for us, emancipation must mean equality before the law, freedom. Freedom. August morning, come again. August morning, come again. We started by playing the drums tonight because when the drums begin to roll, it means that we are on the move. And we have always been on the move. always on the move to get ourselves out of the physical gates of slavery, on the move to provide for ourselves, on the move to turn the plantation into a nation, on the move, always on the move, to turn the plantation into a civilization, on the move, on the move to make civilization, to make Guyana a civilized place for all of us, on the move. We are always on the move. The exodus of Jah people. Some of us wanted to fly back to Africa, fly away home. One morning when my work is over, I'm going to fly away home to Zion. One bright morning when my work is over, I'm going to fly away home. Many of our foreparents flew back home in the spirit, because we sought to make here our recollection of Africa. We bought lands and we turned them into our villages. We did the human community a great service. The villages were and are African Guyanese gift to Guyana. Our gift to Guyana. We made villages so others can come into villages and not into plantations. We are a free people. We have always been a free people. We've always been a free people because we come from a land, a place where humanity originated. We are a free people. We were a free people. We will always be a free people. Brother Bob Marley says we are what we are, and that's the way it's going to be. We are a free people. Emancipation must mean freedom and must always mean freedom, but emancipation is a process. One doesn't throw away the plantation in 1 day or 2 days. After 250 years and more on that plantation, social relations were created. Immediately as we were free, institutions were placed and put in place to curtail our freedom. The police force was founded in 1839. By God, it could not have been founded 1 year after slavery ended in order to police the slave master. The police force was founded to police our people. The institution of inequality, the institutions of inequality, the economic institutions of inequality were created to contain our freedom. Our village economies were physically strangled. The flooding of our farms, flooding our economic self, our economic being, intended to flood us back to the plantation. Our brothers and sisters came and some of them were fooled into the position to believe that we were lazy people who did not want to work. But we are free people. We retreated into our village spaces and we sought to recreate Africa. What a miracle. A minor miracle, some will say a major miracle. How can people who after 240 years, 250 years, 260 years in bondage come out and immediately after created civilized spaces for themselves and for their neighbors? They were not slaves. The slaves could not do that. People still today talk about the freed slaves and the African slaves. We were not slaves. We were enslaved against our will. We were not slaves. We fought against slavery. We were not slaves. We defeated slavery. We were not slaves. And those who were infected with the notion that we were slaves are today engaged in policies that are intended to treat us like slaves. Only slaves are told to greet the master as he comes riding in and throwing little trinkets. Those who turn up and bow down to the master, they are slaves. Those who come into our spaces and try to buy human beings, label us crossovers, label us. They can only do so if their minds feel that we are slaves or that we were slaves. Oh yes, we are the survivors. We are not slave survivors. We survived because we fought and defeated slavery. We are not slaves. And we ask on this emancipation that you do not treat us as slaves. You know, when we said last year that we were an emerging apartheid state, the Attorney General, in his infinite wisdom, said that nowhere in the Constitution is there slavery, is there apartheid, sorry. So we cannot be an apartheid state because we don't have apartheid laws. I remind the learned Attorney General that in 1896, in the case Plessy versus Ferguson, when Mr. Plessy argued before the Supreme Court that he was not a slave, that the 14th Amendment granted him equality before the law. He was not a slave, and so he should not be ordered to the back of a train or a bus. He argued that. And the Supreme Court said, yes, our laws do not say that you are a slave. Our laws give you equal protection. But here is the thing the Supreme Court says. By virtue of the fact of you being black, you are socially unequal. You may be politically equal before the law in the 14th Amendment, but because you're a black, meaning because you were once a slave, you are socially unequal. And so because you're socially unequal, you cannot sit where white people sit. The law did not say that Mr. Ferguson was not a first-class citizen. The law didn't say that. But the social mores, the minds, and the Supreme Court privileged that you're socially unequal. You may be politically equal under the law. I hope Anil Nandlal read and studied Plessy versus Ferguson. Apartheid is not in the law books of Guyana. It's not in the statutes. It's not in the Constitution. But there's apartheid in the policies. That's our fight today. That is the fight of all of us. We know that institutions may go away legally. But the legal end to an institution is not the end of an institution. That's the lesson for us in Guyana. Slavery started out as an economic institution. The demand for labor in the rise of modern technology, the modern technology back then was the cotton gin, was the sugar mill. The technology that made possible mass production of materials. And if you can produce materials very fast, you need labor. You need labor to cut the cane, to plant the cane. You need labor. And it was that demand for labor, for the cotton fields and for the cane fields, that drove them to Africa. Why did they go to Africa? Because the guardians of morality, the church of that day, said white people could not be put in bondage and made to work against their will. The church said that people of lighter skin could not be turned into slaves. So they were exempt. Thomas Jefferson reasoned that the native Indian the red people, the brown people, they were really white people in brown skins, and they could be civilized. So they were exempt. So in case you were asking, why did they enslave black people? Why others were not enslaved? It was because human beings acting as gods, acting as agents of God, said that brown people and white people They had souls. And so they went to Africa. Because in their minds, those people were different. And they brought them against their will. And when they brought them against their will, they had to justify why they did that. And they justified by saying they did not have souls. They render our foreparents soulless. W.B. Du Bois was to write that seminal text, The Souls of Black Folk. The souls of Black folks. You wonder why we have soul food and soul music. Because they said we did not have souls, and we have to affirm our souls. Soul food, soul music. Because they said we did not have souls. Dr. Hines, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this, Dr. Hines? Where are you going with this? And coming to the place called Guyana. In the age of economic upturn, in the age of oil wealth, as Guyana is transitioning from an underdeveloped post-plantation society to a society of plenty, we have to rejiggle the hierarchy. Who is going to own the proceeds from the wealth? Who are going to be the sweepers? Who are going to be the toilers? Who are going to be the people without soul? And who are going to be those with souls? You throw trinkets to those without souls. You go into their communities and you turn them against each other because they have no soul. You take 2 and 3 and 4 of them and say, hey, come. I'm going to give you $200,000 to go round up some people without souls so I can give them $10,000. And you know what? I'm going to expose you and let them know that you are my agent. The reenactment of the plantation is in full swing in Guyana. And it is built on the premise. It is built on the premises of the soulful and the soulless. When they had to go to the United Nations to answer, are you racist or not? They did not send the Minister of Culture. They send one from among them without a soul to go and to defend them. They didn't go to the United Nations and defend themselves and saying, by God, we are not the agents of destruction in Guyana. We believe that all human beings are born equal and must live equal. They did not go to the United Nations to send that. They sent that little girl to make herself a jackass. They gave her a title. They gave her bodyguards. They gave her a fancy car. And they put some white powder on her, some brown powder on her, and said, go forth. They still believe that some of us do not have souls. The people have created cyber laws to protect against cyber criminals. In Guyana, the cybercrime law has a black face. I'm talking the truth tonight. Check out all those who have been charged under the cybercrime laws. Don't say David Hines tell you. Go do the work. Check out them and watch their faces. See if it corresponds with the breakdown of our population. I'm talking the truth tonight. I'm talking the truth tonight. They think some of us do not have souls. And so we're not deserving of human treatment. We walk around the tongue and we look at those who are eating out of the garbage cans. We look at those who are begging at the corner of the street. And most of them look like me. And we don't see them as victims of racial economics. We don't see them as victims of economic slavery. We don't see them as victims of economic aggression. We don't see them as victims of economic equality. We think they're beggars because they were born to beg. We think that they are low class because they were born low class. And we say it must be so because God created the hierarchy. The fair caste, as fair as they can be, and the low caste, as dark as they can be. And so there is no policy in all rich Guyana to free our society of beggars. Where is your policy to cleanse the society of poverty? It is poverty that gets our brothers and sisters on the street. But no, Black people can't help themselves. Of course, they're beggars of other races. Oh, but no, they're the exception. They're the exception. Something must be terribly wrong there. It's normative to see Black people eating out of the garbage cans, and it's normal. It's normative. It has nothing to do with policy. It has nothing to do with apartheid. It has nothing to do with apartness. It has to do with them. There is something essentially spiritually and naturally wrong with them. They said back then that we were feeble in body and mind. Emancipation must mean freedom. I'm saying to Black people, you all have to get aggressive. You all have to get aggressive about your dignity. What emancipation must mean. Aggressive about your dignity. Stop making excuses for being Black. Ravi Dev made no excuse, no apologies for saying that Hindus are of a superior culture. No, I'm not telling you all to be Ravi Dev. Don't make any apology for being Black. And here I am, I want to say a word to the Black middle class, to the Black elites. You cannot get them to mount a Black platform to say anything that is Black. Tell them to go to the cocktail parties and to take their selfies and others. They are there in the front. Tell them to go to the politically correct things. They're there. They're going to dress up in their African clothes and go to the national park because everybody's there. And they're going to play Black. But ask them to go mount a Coffee 250 or at the platform to talk to Black people about their Black self and their Black dignity. No, they're on a plane to Brazil or Paris or somewhere. I can't come, Dr. Hines. They're going to go to Agda Folk Festival, but not Mountain Agda platform to talk about dignity. I'm talking some truth tonight, not just to those who feel that we don't have soul, but to those among us who sell their souls. Come on to Politics 101. Let's talk about what the meaning of emancipation. Ah, no, Dr. Hines, I have another appointment. Oh no, Dr. Hines, and these are the people who come and they beg us for our votes every 5 years. And we have to give it to them because we want to keep out the other side. And they don't give one damn about our black self, our black self-respect, our black dignity. Do you ever see the PPP leaders hiding when it comes to Diwali? Do you see them hiding when it comes to Pagwa? Do you see them hiding when it comes to Eid al-Adha? Do you see them hiding? No, they do not hide. But the black middle class have been some of the worst enemies of black people in this country. And I'm not telling you all to shun them. Oh no, they're part of us. But I am going to call them out. Anything black, they run like a curry. I love you, black people, unreservedly. And I don't have to put at the end of it, and I love Indian people too, and I love white people too, and I love, no. I love black people, full stop. When I'm talking to white people or Indian people, I'm going to talk about my love for them there. I'm not qualifying it just because I don't want to be seen. Old people would say they're black like Ace of Spades. And they run away from their blackness and leave us exposed to the vultures. My Indian friends remind me, but Dr. Hines, you were trained. You come up as a Marxist. You know about class analysis, but put some class analysis in your discourse. I don't mind class analysis. I'm doing class analysis right now because I'm telling you all that the black middle class, their interests are not necessarily the interests of the black working class. That's class analysis. What my Indian brothers and sisters want me to do is to abandon race analysis. They do not want me to talk about the particularities, about the response of the rest of the world to black people. You know, at one time in the United States, there were two categories of people, white and black. That's what the 13th Amendment did. It ended slavery. And in the censuses, there were two types of people, black people and white people. And if you were coming into the country from Europe or wherever you come from, after then, you had to apply to be an American citizen. And you had to apply to be white or black. And I think it was only in one instances in the thousands, the tens of thousands, the millions, only one person applied to be black. In all those years, everyone applied to be white. And in some instances, the court denied them. There were Southern Europeans who came, applied to be white, and were denied. And when the court was asked to say, what is whiteness? The court said, whiteness is what the ordinary white man says it is. What it means is that everybody ran away from blackness. They applied to be American, they applied to be white. And the running away from blackness continued, you know the story of white flight in America. As black people move into the suburbs, white people leave the suburbs. As black people leave Washington, D.C. and move to Maryland, white people left Maryland. They left PG County, and now they're back in Washington, D.C., and they're the majority on the city council in Washington. They run away from the inner city to the suburb. As black people become successful and move out of the ghettos into the suburbs, white people run back into the city. Everybody run away from blackness. And you all black people, some of you, especially black middle class, make you all self a jackass that you all not black. Watch them how they run away from you all. And you all keep running and you're running away, but you can't run away from yourself. But Bob said that. Black people run away from themselves. This emancipation, you gotta get serious and aggressive. They're gonna cut out this piece and they're gonna put it, Dr. Einstein and black people to be aggressive to Indian people. Bet you that is what they're gonna say. Be aggressive about your dignity, your black dignity. Be aggressive about protecting it. Be aggressive about protecting your black children. Be aggressive about protecting your black culture. And be aggressive about your black patrimony in Guyana. If you all sit down and accept a penny when you're worth millions, then you have no one to blame but yourselves. Well, you all hear me tonight. Back in the early part of the 20th century, they talk about the new Negro. The new Negro. Today we are talking about the new African, the new black African, the new African Guyanese. We have to be anew, with a new spirit. Don't accept your second-class citizenship. That is what, now Booker T. Washington had some good ideas. He talked about black industriousness. I'm with you there, Booker T. Talk about black people learning trade. I'm with you there, Booker T. But when you tell black people, lay down your bucket where you are and accept your second-class citizenship, Booker T, I ain't there with you. And they got some black people, especially those in the PPP, who are telling black people in Guyana to lay down your bucket where you are and accept your second-class citizenship. Come, man, and take the people giving you a house lot. Take the house lot, man. Don't worry with them who telling you don't take nothing. Come bring the $2.25 million, how much million they ask you to care for the house lot. And you get the house lot and you put it down there. And you don't have the funds to build the house. They're not telling you come for a house lot and then we're going to accept Clive Thomas and the WPA policy and we're going to give some cash transfer. You're going to take that cash transfer and you're going to build the house on the house lot. They're not telling you that. Lay down your bucket where it is, where they are, and accept your second-class citizenship. It's better to get $100,000. Don't worry with it when we give in sugar workers and rice farmers and them $2 million. Don't worry though. We giving you $250,000. You take you $250,000. Don't worry, David. I ain't never distributed. Accept your second-class citizenship. That's what they're telling you all because they think you all are jackasses. And I'm saying to you all ain't jackasses. And don't play yourself a jackass. Don't take with one eye. Open two eye. Take. But look what the other said get in. And fight to get the same one. People die for the right to vote. And you are selling your vote to the PPP. I've never had a problem with somebody by sheer conscience in terms of your ideology. And you go vote for the PPP. I don't have a problem with that. But when the PPP come and tell you, I'm going to give me your ID card, I'm going to give you a box of cook-up rice and $10,000 and a red t-shirt, and give me your ID card, you're selling your birthright, you're selling a right that we have fought for. Black people, what is wrong with you all? What's wrong with you all? It's okay for us to say only 10 of them, only 20 of them, only 30 of them, only 300 of them. But if they go in, if they go in the ghoul and they lock them off and block them out and mess with their minds, they come out and tell others, come in, come in. There is milk and honey in there. Black people's emancipation. And I know you are going to have a good time. And I want you all to have a good time. But I want you all to reflect on where we are going. Don't tell me that Norton and do what he's supposed to do. I know that. Don't tell me the PNC fighting among themselves and so on. I know that. Don't tell me when Granger been there, he didn't do enough for black people. I know that. And the old timers like me, don't tell me Burnham, the rig elections, and I know that. I said, when you put all of that together, there's no excuse to take a box of cook-up rice and sell your right to vote. I said, when you put all them things together, what Granger did do, what Granger didn't do, what Burnham did do, what Norton ain't doing, what the PNC ain't doing. When you add all that up together, it still ain't come up to the value of your dignity. Talking to you all. I'm talking to you all. Because I don't want to see you all on a plantation again. But Bob Marley said, I don't want to see my people in bondage. I don't want to see my people to be contrary. Because I don't want my people to be tricked by mercenaries. Brother, you're right. You're so right. We got to fight for right. In every man's chest, there beats a heart, which means that we are all so damn equal in the face of the law and in the face of God Almighty. So you all don't tell me about what you all didn't do, what you all weren't involved. I know that I was there. And I said it then to Mr. Granger that you all not doing enough for you all people. And they shut me out, they knocked me out, they cussed me out, and some of you all back them. So don't tell me now that I go in and sell my soul because Granger didn't do, because you know Granger wasn't doing, and you weren't telling him to do more for you. You know, because you didn't want to wash your dirty linen in public. Where the hell are you going to wash your dirty linen? Dirty linen The place of dirty linen is outside. You don't store dirt in your inside. You store it outside. And you all stop that nonsense. Not the fool he tell we gonna put boots on the ground and he ain't put boots on the... I know that. Stop making excuses and being aggressive. Be aggressive about your self-dignity, black people. And when you all see them big shots, when you all see the black middle class, you all tell them, David, and say that they're letting us down. They're letting us down. We don't ask them for much. All you all ask them is to stand with you all and shed a tear with you all, cry with you all a little bit, lift you all up. They will quickly lift up others because they don't want to be seen as racist and they don't lift up their own. Tomorrow night, Ipadaji is here, Dr. Theo Gittins and Vincent and Sister Olive Sampson. They're going to be here and they're going to continue this discourse. This week, we talk in black. Beg pardon to all my Indian viewers, and I know there are quite a few of you, my Amerindian viewers. You all will understand why we talking a little bit black while we talking black this week. Because, you know, it's our week, you know? It's our week. It's our week, you know? You all grant us a little you all know, you understand what I mean, Gladys? And others were on. You all, you know, you all understand the thing, right? And I ain't just cussing the PPP this week. I talking about some black people, the black elite. The black elite. The black elite that refuse to stand with black people in our hour of need. The need that we have is to break out of this prison and laugh again. Martin Carter says that. And when that day comes, I shall come alive again and laugh again and walk out of this prison. That's what we've got to do. And I'm saying to you all black people, you all join something. Join some organization. Go out and donate some time. Help them to go and share Kanki. Help them to do something on Emancipation Day. You're too laid back sometimes. I thank God. All those who squeeze me hand and give me $1,000 and say, this is for you all 1st of August. Those who come and tell me, I get my bucket of Mabi, send them to collect it, Dr. Hines. You all go out and contribute to you all day. I bet you, and I know that our brothers and sisters of the other ethnic groups, they do their thing on their days. Please contribute. I have so many people to thank for their contribution to our Emancipation Fund. To our Emancipation Fund. To our Emancipation Fund. Please contribute to it, especially those of you all in the diaspora. A lot of the men came through the drink one beer less last week. Some, like my brother Yuri, drink his full complement, but he pay for 6-pack, he pay for 12-pack. Some people pay for case. They said, Dr. Hines, I ain't taking, I ain't, drinking 2 beer less, but I'm going to pay for a case. I'm going to give you the equivalent of a case or a 2 case. Please contribute. Here is the PayPal and Cash App. Make your contribution to our Emancipation Fund. We're running it throughout this week. Please contribute. And sometimes we've got to talk tough love, because I don't want my people to be contrary. I don't want my people to be tricked by mercenaries. I don't want my people to go back in the plantation. I want us to be there as the milk and honey begin to flow in Guyana. I want us to get our share right here on earth. That when we go to heaven, we're going to heaven with our own milk and honey. We're not waiting on the milk and honey up there in heaven. We are taking milk and honey to heaven. God help those who help themselves. You all know that. You all don't have to go to church every day and every week to know that part of the scripture. God help those who help themselves. Make your contribution. And see you all tomorrow night. Like I said, we have friends tomorrow night, and we're going to extend the discussion tomorrow night. Good night to all of you who've come through. As usual, I love you all so much. So much. I love you all so unconditionally so. Unconditionally so. When I have to talk me by attack, I'm going to talk me by attack. But I do so with immense love. Without you all, there's no me. I can get all the big papers and all the big certificate. And all I'm going to be doing is talking with people like myself in the ivory tower. And that's not a nice experience. That's why I love you all. And I want us to stay true to ourselves. Tomorrow night, I come again for us to continue this gaffe, this serious reasoning, because we got to get our share right now.